You're at the point where you want to make something out of what you love. Maybe it's designing websites, developing code, or even the graphical aspects or solving problems digitally. Either way, you want to make a bit of income, because when you generate income from what you love doing it so much more. Now, the video here today isn't just for freelancers or web design agencies, or maybe you're thinking about becoming an agency or even just starting off as a freelancer, like you want to design websites, you've never done it before, but you want to make sure you set yourselves up from the get-go, especially if you want to help yourself to find clients, charge for discovery calls, and have the right tools in place. Now, this is quite a detailed video. There are many steps. Please use the timestamps and pick and choose what you want to watch, but I do recommend you watch from start to finish because the stages too relate to one another and I don't want you to get confused as we go along. And of course, please don't forget to like and subscribe and let other people know about this video. Is it a good idea to work for yourself? Absolutely yes. I'm Imran Sadiq, Director of Web Squadron. For 20 years, I worked in the UK's NHS, analysing data with hospitals and general practitioner surgeries. I built a pretty good reputation for my creativity and leading teams to great success. I loved making a difference. Yet I was also frustrated by barriers that stopped us achieving more. You know what it's like. You can see a solution to something, but something is holding you back. So during those 20 years, behind the scenes, I was improving my web design skills for nearly 20 years. You know, HTML, messing around with CSS, buying templates and themes off Theme Forest, who hasn't done that, right? Experimenting with different page builders. And all the time, I was creating websites, working with people, and I was really enjoying it. It allowed me to be myself. So after a decade and a half of hustling behind the scenes, I decided to take the leap and set up a web design agency. Now, I didn't do it all on my own. There is another director as part of our web design agency. For the first 2 years of the agency being up and running, I was working on it part-time, but juggling it with the day job became really difficult. But since January 2022, I went full-time on the agency and I left the day job, basically retired from it, and I am still loving it. Working from home means I get to spend more time with my family, get up when I want, work when I want, dress up how I want. And by the way, I do a lot of work, okay? So please don't think I only do 1 or 2 hours a day. It is hard work. You're only going to earn how much you put into it, but I still love it. Total freedom. Please think carefully before you give up any other commitments or jobs that you have before you go in all on this. And you don't have to go all in. You could do it as a side hustle or part-time and work it into your schedule. But most importantly, think about your overheads. Think about your monthly spends and what you need to be earning to break even. Don't start believing a lot of the hype you see out there that you're going to be earning $20, $30, $40, $50,000 per website. That isn't the reality. You could eventually get there. I'm not saying you won't, but you got to start small. So be realistic about what could you potentially earn and what do you need to be earning to break even. And then after that, what is going to be your net profit to enjoy your life a little bit more. And there's a reason I say that. Please don't get caught in the feast or famine mindset. Basically, every job that comes in, you're going to accept. No matter how nasty the client is, no matter how difficult the job is, you're going to take it because you need to be earning money and you don't want to be in that mindset. And let me tell you now, I have turned away many jobs because I don't like the client or what they're asking me to do. Stay in control. I mean, that's the whole point of working for yourself or as part of a multi-team design agency. Let's get started with what you will provide. This applies to freelancers and agencies. Are you going to provide hosting solutions or just designing websites or a bit of both? And when it comes to websites, are they going to be niche like lawyers, dentists, landscapers? Or is it going to be quite broad? Are you happy working with e-commerce, appointments, directories, vendor marketplace websites? Start thinking about what you want to work on. It's easy to kind of go, well, I'll do whatever the client wants. But I would say you can experiment with that at the start, But then you're going to start to realize that actually I don't like e-commerce websites and I only want to work on brochure websites or portfolios or online CVs. Because the more you can identify your niche area, it's going to help you to stand out. The better you know your audience and who you're going to work with is going to help to dictate what you need to get the job done. Let's imagine that you're a garage and all you do is fit tyres. So you're going to need a location, you might need a tyre fitter unless you're going to do it yourself, and you're going to need a supply of tyres. So you know what you need to get the job done. However, if you decide you're also going to do MOTs, servicing of cars, exterior, interior changes and, engines and things like that, you're now going to have to expand your team, a bigger location, a bigger budget to handle stock. What you don't want to do is advertise all of these services, but your location is your front garden. Well, how are you going to handle everything? And I'm sure you're shouting at the screen right now going, well, that's pretty obvious, that's common sense. But believe it or not, there's a lot of people who don't think about this. And then they take on way too much work, they're struggling, they're missing deadlines. So if you're doing this on your own, what are your core skills? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What can you do really well? And what will you need some support on? Now in Web Squadron, there are two members. I'm more on the creative side, working on the websites, the videos. Mark is more strategic and likes to work on the newsletters and creating content for the mastery modules. We work really well together. Basically, we know what our strengths are and we rarely invade onto the other person's patch because we know that we're good at what we do. So remember, if you've got a team, understand your strengths, but if you're working on your own, identify those strengths as well and the weaknesses, because any areas that you're struggling on, go and read a book, go and watch a YouTube video, join a forum, talk to people, maybe even consider hiring support. Now, if you've never done that, and you're a little bit worried, don't worry, there's loads of places you can go to get virtual assistants. Of course, do vet them and make sure that they're on the same wavelength as you. Don't just hire the cheapest person out there. But you could also find support from forums and you will make friends. And there may be people that might do you a little bit of a favour, but do understand that you might have to dig into your pocket to pay for services. And this brings me back to where I was saying, what are you going to be working on? So if you're going to be a builder and you're going to build an entire house, but you don't know nothing about building, make sure you've got your trusted team in place. Your roofer, your electrician, your plumber, your bricklayer, all of this, your foundations, everything. Get them in place. Know that you can rely upon them. What you don't want to do is say, hey, we'll build your house, but my bricklayer, he's busy for 6 months. Because I would turn around and go, but they're your bricklayer, so are they busy with your work or someone else's work? You don't want to be caught in that kind of conversation. There is one thing I do want to highlight, though, about when you do have a team. So imagine you've got the sales, the marketing, the website production. There might be some other features and functions as well. I would always recommend that you keep the sales and a bit of the marketing for yourself. Here's what I mean. If you're advertising, someone could create the content. The posts that you're going to put on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Someone could create them for you using Canva or lots of other solutions out there. But when it comes to actually putting the messages out, I would recommend you do that, because when you get notifications or people questioning what you do, or could you work on this website for me, you want to be the one in control of replying. Just like when it comes to sales, you want to be doing it. Why am I saying that? Well, what you don't want is someone else that you hire to start talking to clients and going, no, we can't do that. Or yeah, we'll do that for you and we'll do it for XYZ price. Because they might be over-promising or creating some form of commitment where you, as the managing director or the CEO or the web design agency owner or even the freelancer, you might go, well, we can't do that. Why did you promise that? Or that's the wrong price. So when it comes to actually closing sales, proposals, negotiating, even putting out the social media marketing, I strongly recommend you do that because you want to be in control of what's decided. Remember, the reputation of your business is massively important. And what you don't want is someone to say, well, this person or company is really slow, or they just left me hanging. They promised something, but they didn't deliver. Using Canva to create our social media posts is super, super brilliant. You can get the free or the premium version. I do recommend it. And also we use Publer, where you create one post and it goes off to Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook all in one go. So it makes things super efficient. Let's now think about the services that you're going to offer. I want you to grab a bit of paper and draw a line down the middle. And on the left-hand side, put the word recurring, and on the right side, put non-recurring. Recurring income is what occurs regularly, like daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, annually income. It just happens, it rolls in when they pay, of course. Things like hosting solutions. Now, if you understand the intricacies of servers and you're skilled to do that, you could provide a private hosting solution for their website. Or you might use a third party or a reseller package like SiteGround. Other forms of recurring income are maintenance or care packages for someone's website, or maybe it's revisions or, other things. And you don't have to provide a maintenance care package with a hosting solution. It's entirely up to you whether you want to do that. The benefits of recurring income are two things. Number one, it gives the client a level of trust and commitment from you that you're going to provide a service to them, and it can help you to form a stronger relationship or bond over time. The second thing is that it allows a gateway back to the client. So let's say you have a brand new service, or you're now changing the way you do SEO or page performance, or there's a special offer or something you really want to offer them. They need to think about Google Analytics 4 rather than Universal Analytics. You can go back to them now because they're still working with you, and you can offer them this service. Now, just because they're paying for a monthly maintenance or care package doesn't mean they get this extra service for free. They would have to pay for it. But rather than you now trying to find someone who wants that service, you have a direct route back to them. Of course, don't abuse it because they are trusting you and you want to continue your great relationship. The other benefit of having recurring income or a package in place is that there's a higher chance of word of mouth. Because if you continue doing great work for them and they hear of someone who needs a website, they're more likely to refer you. Why wouldn't they recommend you? Maybe that's a question you don't want to answer. So let's just expand on some of these recurring incomes again. Hosting solutions. If you're doing it via a third party, like SiteGround or someone else, you still have to have a good level of understanding of what SiteGround do, what you do, and where your responsibilities sit. If you're providing it privately, you better know what you're doing. Because I can tell you now, the client does not care whether it's on a private server or a third party. They don't care. All they care about is that they're paying you for a service and they want to ensure that their website is online. Loss of website or downtime equals loss of business, and clients don't like that. If the emails go down, if it's not loading, if it's really slow, you better make sure you're on the ball. And that's why I do recommend SiteGround, and you're going to hear me say this quite a few times because they have a great technical support. But pick the company you want to go with and just make sure you talk to other people about, have you ever used this company? What was their customer service? What was their turnaround time? What was the tech support like? Do your research and homework. Don't always go for the cheapest. Here's a little secret. We don't offer hosting solutions anymore, mainly because it is a bit of a headache. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to be worrying about server speed or downtime or anything like that. Maintenance and care packages are a very misunderstood service. A lot of clients treat it like the genie in a lamp, where they can make endless requests. Without a clear contract of what is included, you could come unstuck. Please do check out our mastery module on sharing our stash, where we share with you the contract. The first thing you could offer is a basic plan. This literally is, as it says, it is basic. WordPress updates, plugin updates, backups, site security. That is all you offer, no more. Keep it basic, and there is a monthly charge for that. The second offering would be an add-on. So let's pretend your basic was $50 a month. You may now say, okay, for an extra $50 a month, which takes it to $100, you will now offer minor revisions. So this might be like the odd change of text, swapping an image out, maybe some body text, just modifying the content very, very slightly. Be clear though on what is and isn't a minor revision. So if they want to change the whole page layout, completely modify how it looks on the mobile, that is not a minor revision. That takes a bit more time and effort. Also, how many minor revisions will you offer? Don't say endless. Don't say unlimited, because they will be firing emails at you and text messages all day long. Maybe just go for 3. Now, some people might say $50 for 3 minor revisions is quite expensive. Well, I'll tell you what, go and contact a lawyer or anyone else of a professional service and ask them to, even a doctor, ask them to sign a sick note for you and then double check what they charge just for a signature. Of course, if there was a more major revision required, like a layout change, or they want to now add in an extra gallery or change the blog post template or something like that, you would obviously do that work. Now, you could offer it as a major revision package as well on top, but I would say you have your basic, you have your minor revision. Anything more than that, the price for that is not set in stone. You will decide the price based on the work required. So they might ask you to do something that's going to take you half an hour. You would charge accordingly. Maybe it's 2 hours, maybe it's half a day, maybe longer. So you will now charge them based on the amount of work required. I can't stress this enough. Don't undervalue your time, your value, your skills. Because the moment you start doing things for free, we'll do it for you. Oh, don't worry, it'll just take me 2 minutes. They will remember that, and it will start to leak in regularly, and there'll be scope creep all over the place. The next add-on that you could add on, and this might be an extra $50 or $100, might be search engine optimization, SEO. This is where you're reviewing their keywords. How are things looking? Please do go watch a video that we did on SEMrush. It will be in the timestamp below about how you can analyze your website and a competitor's websites for how they're doing against keywords. You might modify them on certain pages or even site-wide. And if they want you to review it more regularly, because you might only do this once per month, so they pay for it and you'll do it monthly, once per month. But if they want you to review it every few weeks, which I would say not much benefit to that, but let's say they did, you got to increase the price for that. Don't just say, here's the set price, whether you ask me to do it daily, weekly, monthly. No, look at the time that is spent. Another good add-on is analytics. Again, there'd be an extra charge for that. This is where you now analyze their data, visitors, referral sources, how long is someone sitting on a page or where are they going, unique visitors, things like that, geography as well. Maybe they're visiting certain products or blog posts more than others. Now, we do have a mastery module for that as well. Analytic reports, please go have a look at that. If you want to have a pre-built template that's already built in Google Data Studio to help you get started. And it has an example also of our analytics report that we share out to customers. All in all, let them pick their add-ons. Now, the basic plan should be set in stone, because let them know that if they don't take that, they run the risk of updates, plugin incompatibility, things falling over, affecting the look of the website, purging the cache. Do they even know what they need to do there? Remember, the basic plan allows for continuity of work, forming a better relationship, and contact for future work as well. So the basic plan must happen. But everything else, the minor revisions, maybe major revisions, but I would say leave that to be ad hoc. You base the cost on that based on what they actually want, the SEO, the analytics, and maybe something else that you have in your arsenal. These are extra add-ons, but let them pick. And if they don't go for it, fine, they can jump into it later on. But if they were to come to you in 4 months' time, and they only went for the basic plan, and now they want SEO, well, you might charge a slightly different price to what you originally said. Non-recurring income or services will usually be your site build or one-off costs, or maybe it was a service they didn't take up earlier that they aren't taking up now, or like we just discussed, a major revision to the website. It's a one-off cost, they pay for it, it gets done. Now, when we price up our work, we like to be very transparent and clear with what they are going to be paying for. So we like to break it down into essentials and desirables, which sounds a bit weird. I mean, surely you'd want to say, hey, the cost of your website build is $5,000. Well, we break it down, and I'll explain right at the end why do we give them that breakdown. By the way, do check out our proposal document that shows our breakdown and our terms and conditions and contract in our Sharing Our Stash Mastery module. Go and check out the timestamps below. So what's the difference between essential and desirable items? Essential items are what you need from day one for that website to be operational. Obviously the labor for the build cost, but any plugins, licenses, anything that you need to ensure that that website is good to go when it's released. Desirables can be extras, so search engine optimization, page speed performance, responsiveness, maybe some other nuggets or features that you don't need to have, or maybe there's no reason to release them right now. They are delayed until later on. And this all depends on what does the business want. I will revisit all of this about what you need to be offering later on, but I wanted to make clear that you understand what is the difference between recurring and non-recurring services and essential and desirable items as part of your site build. What you now need to start thinking about is that actually none of this means anything unless you get some clients. We've got an amazing mastery module on how to get clients. Please go and check out the timestamp description if you want to get that. Now, having clients is super important because everything we've spoken about is meaningless if you're not getting any income. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of a plan and we're going to break it down into phases. Some of them are more important than others, but I would recommend that you try them all out to help yourself. Phase 1 is social media marketing. Do this now. It doesn't matter how amazing your services are because no one knows they exist. And if they don't know they exist, no one will inquire and buy them. And if they don't buy them, you make no money. And if you make no money, you're going to be sat here wondering, what the heck have I got myself into? So get on top of your social media marketing. As stated previously, we use Canva. 1000 by 1000 pixels as dimension is pretty reasonable to cover off all bases. We use Publer to distribute them across loads of platforms in one big swoop. I don't just share pretty images, I share our latest videos, WordPress tips. I go and find out what's happening with other plugins or platforms out there, and I try and share useful information. Now, I hope those of you that are following us will notice that I don't always share our web address or contact details, because what I'm trying to get across is that I know what I'm talking about. So if I start talking about WordPress security or search engine optimization, tips, what can you do with your social bio, the descriptions you put out there? What you're doing is demonstrating experience. And people start to trust experienced people a lot more than just someone who goes, hey, come and use my services, I've got a fantastic offer on. If that's all you're putting out there, people get bored of that. You start to come across like a pushy salesperson. But if you can mix it up, share something about what you're working on, what you're doing, maybe even share where things haven't gone so well. There's nothing wrong with that. Demonstrate that you are human, you're experienced, and you know what you're talking about. So how many posts should you do? You could do 1 a day, 4, 10. We do about 10 a day, and they are scheduled out across 24 hours, mainly because we have a global audience, so think about that as well. Look, there's a lot of celebrities in the world who haven't really achieved or done much other than that they're always there in social media, on TV or adverts, and they become famous or popular just because of that. And you might look at them and go, well, you haven't really achieved much, but you're always out there. That kind of principle applies to what we would do with social media as well. If you only post at 9 a.m. in the morning, that might be great if your audience saw that post at 9 a.m. But what about the rest of the day? What about people on the other side of the world because you're offering a global service? Maybe it is just local. Again, think about your services and what you're offering and where you are offering them. But if you're trying to get a more global outreach, schedule your posts, do it regularly, because the more people see you, the more they recognize you, the more they trust you or not trust you. Either way, you want them to see you. And why am I telling you to do this right now? Even if you have not got a website built, which we're going to talk about in a moment, which is phase 2, Even before all of that, even though you might still be like sorting out your team and what you're going to be working on, by doing the marketing now, early on, you're building up the hype. You're building up the repetition, the audience base, because people will get to know you. There's nothing to stop you doing it now. And once you get into the rhythm, you'll do it every day without fail. So phase 2 is about your website. The website shouldn't just be something that's going to say, hey, I'm a web designer and this is what I do. Try and be a bit transparent and share across what your services are. You might not want to completely share your pricing. That's up to you. We like to do that and say this is our baseline. So the most basic website we build will be £920. That is a very basic template-driven one-page website. After that, everything else will cost higher because at least it tells the customer, well, it won't be lower than that. So do I want to continue working with them or not? Your website is a landing zone. So if you're doing social media marketing, at some point, people are going to go, well, okay, I want to know more. Okay, you're on LinkedIn and it's in your profile that you do X, Y, Z, but I want to know more. I want to work with you. I want to see your work. I can see there's a little image, but I want to see your portfolio. That is what your website is. It is a powerful, powerful place to lure people in and hopefully get them to stay. Because remember, they might be looking at 20 other web designers. Why should they care about you? But what if you're starting off and you haven't really worked with anyone? Like you're brand new. I want to be a web designer. I want to do this. But you've only built for maybe your friend or even just yourself. Well, that's really easy to sort out. You could right now go and create 4 or 5 homepages. You could use templates. You could modify the templates. You could build completely from scratch. But you don't have to be pointing to anywhere. You know, once you've started building your website, you'll just have 5 extra pages as part of your website that will now be demo example home pages. What you're going to demonstrate is how do you do your headers and your footers, your hero banners, your call to actions, maybe a shop page, your layout. Do you let things breathe or do you like things very cramped up? How do you do it? Because this is going to be your selling point. This is also how you can show off the niche areas you like to work in as well. Think of a lot of logo designers and graphic artists out there. They've probably spent years doing digital art or paintings or images, and then they put it out there. And then someone will look at that design and go, hey, I really like their way they're doing character avatars. I love that style. I want to work with them and get them to do stuff for me. It doesn't matter if that person, that artist, has never worked with anyone else before. They have a style, a stamp, something that tells us what we're going to get if we work with them. The other point of the website is that you can collect subscriptions. You can have somewhere where all they've got to do is like fill in an email and they'll be part of a newsletter. Be careful what you put on your newsletter. You don't want people to unsubscribe. But if you can generate a mailing list, you know, this can help you to advertise services, offers, anything you're working on as well. It's to keep people interested and remind them of what you can do for them. And that is why social media marketing and your website are the first 2 phases I strongly recommend you get sorted now. And even if you're already doing both or one of them, review and just have a reflection on, well, are they working? Are you getting many hits? Has anyone ever made a comment about the website? Have you ever had a peer-to-peer review of your website? How many hits or engagements are you getting on your current social media post? None? Review that. Have a think about it. Now, phase 3 of how to get clients is actually seeking work. And phase 3, I'm going to break down into sub-phases. I know this gets all complicated, but believe me, it all fits in together. So number 1 of the 5 sub-phases is adverts. Google ads, Facebook ads, sponsored posts. I hear about some positive outcomes where someone's done it, they've paid a bit of money and they've generated 1 or 2 leads. That's all great. I've also heard of the same people then putting a lot more money into more adverts and they got 0 leads. So any profit they made was completely blown. Now, adverts can work for you. However, I do think there's a higher chance of making losses as well. Now, if you've got a big budget, expendable money, and you're happy to do this or put the risk in, go for it. Like I said, you can make winnings out of adverts. But if you're starting off and you want to be very careful on how you're using your current resources, I would say leave this until much later on. Whenever I go to Google and I can see it's got the word ad, I don't click on it as a result because I know they've paid to get there. I prefer organic results. Subphase 2 is using platforms like Fiverr or Upwork. Now, they are good if you are starting off as work, but you got to understand that they will be low priced and they might be $50, $100, $150, which for some of you might be a great deal. However, am I really going to spend a whole week on a website back and forth with the client? They're going to change their mind. They're going to want lots of revisions. They might not even really know what they want. For $100, that's seriously undervaluing my time. In any market that turns services into a bidding war, where the lower bid wins, is just going to scrape your profit margin, and it means that you're working harder for little reward. Of course, you could get a steady flow of income, build up lots of reviews, reputation, and then you might be able to feel more confident with charging for higher work, and it will help you understand your niche market as well, because if you're just building any website, you might realize, actually, I don't like doing e-commerce anymore. But you could also build a dangerous mindset of racing to the bottom. You get into a habit of always saying, yeah, we'll build this website. And the client goes, yeah, but someone else on here says they'll do it for $50. And you started off at $80. Oh, okay, we'll go with $40. You don't know how much truth or honesty was in that, but you end up racing to the bottom. And once you get into that mindset, it's difficult to get out of. And I would rather say, here's our starting point. We do not go below that. So subphases 1 and 2, you can do, but they are my least preferred route. Subphase 3 is cold emailing. I'm not talking about cold calling. Don't do cold calling. I hate it. You know, a lot of people in the UK hate it as well. But cold emailing. So if you know there's a business out there that's got an outdated website, or it's not working very well, or it's really slow, or maybe you did a search for, I don't know, plumbers or gas engineers in your local area, and then you go to page 4 or 5 on Google and they're not doing too well, you might want to contact them and offer them a service of search engine optimization or the performance of their website, or spruce it up with a makeover. Now, what you don't want to do is do what a lot of spammy emails do, which is, hey, I looked at your website, your rankings aren't good, I'll improve it for you. No, make it real. Talk about their website. Go and use SEMrush. There's a timestamp below for our video on that, where you can find out about, has that website even got any keywords? Have they ever put any in? What are their competitors using? What do you recommend they do? Don't tell them everything. Because if you just give away everything, they're just going to go somewhere else and get the website built or improved on or made over. But give them snippets of where they need to make those changes and what you can do for them. What kind of guarantees can you offer them? What kind of experience have you got? And if you want to go a stage further, don't just tell them about what they could do, but actually create a homepage for them. You could create it on your own website and actually share the URL so they can see some of the animations or features or anything like that. Or you could even just create it like, not as an illustration, but with Canva or Photoshop, Figma, anything like that. When you start to demonstrate something they recognize, it feels more real. There's no point sometimes going to someone and going, hey, I can build a website for you. You've got one, but I can build a better one for you. And you send them a URL for a competitor business because they're going to be like, I don't like that person. How dare you show me their website? But if they've already got a logo and a potential color scheme or something, why don't you just redo the header and the hero banner and say, look, we think this is going to work better for you. You haven't got a call to action. You're not really telling them where to go. You just got loads of text. You haven't got a lot of images. Make it real for them. And don't spend too long on this. I mean, I would say try to restrict the amount of time you do on this to like 1 or 2 hours. Keep it really, really simple because you don't want to be spending a week on it. Imagine you're a business getting that kind of email. Isn't that so much better than the spam and junk we all get? Now, subphase 4 is similar to subphase 3, but you're going to go a little bit of a step further. There's going to be some charities out there that have had a website built, and 9 times out of 10, I find a lot of them are very outdated, or they were built on like an inferior platform or a page builder or something that's not really that good. You could approach them and offer to build that website for them for free. Obviously, they still need their domain and hosting. I would encourage you to get them onto a basic maintenance plan as well, so that you've still got contact with them in looking after the website and you're offering them that trust and commitment. But you rebuild their website for free. And if they're accepting donations, maybe they've never done it electronically. Now you can give them the option to do that on their website as well, advertise their services, post newsletters, whatever they want to do. Why would you do this for free? Well, number one, don't do this for every charity. Just do this for one of them. Because once you get your foot in the door, that charity might know other organizations that might want to work with you. Or they might have offshoots as well. Or there might be someone who volunteers for that and they go, oh, we really like what you did with that website. My husband runs XYZ. My wife does this. My son, daughter, anything like that, friend. They might remember you. So it's not a bad idea to build a website for free. I mean, obviously, don't spend years and years building it. Make sure you get it done as quick as possible with quick turnaround, but it gets your foot in the door. A lot of charities will have a Facebook page, or they're part of a local community or a council or something like that. Imagine you've created a website and they're really happy about it, excited, positive reviews. They might mention you in a newsletter or a newspaper or even on their Facebook page. And when they do that, you want to share that on your social media as well. Phase 5 is my favorite on how to get clients. You can use this on previous clients, but if you haven't got any previous clients, you can utilize this method with your friends and family as well. You're going to be a bit amazed by this. You tell them that if they know anyone who needs a website to be built and they refer to you and the website is built, you will pay them $50, $100, £120, maybe not £120, £100 maybe. You decide on what is the monetary value and you stick to that. Because how often do we say to previous clients, hey, please do refer us, we did a great service for you, and you don't really get any referrals in. They love what you did, but why would they go out there actively to refer you or even mention it to anyone? Maybe, like what's in it for them other than, oh yeah, this person built our website. They care more about their website and that's the end all. But if you're now incentivizing them, so you're now saying to your friends or family or previous clients, look, you refer and the website is built and I'll pay you $100, they're more likely to do it. And I know of so many success stories where people have implemented this after we've spoken to them about it. Don't worry, you're not paying that out of your back pocket. You will pay out of the profit you made from building the other website. So the website is built, the second client pays you, and then out of that you take $100 as a thank you. And that's unlimited. That never runs out. And the new client, you say the same thing to them. Hey, if you know anyone and you refer to me, there's $100 for you as well. Now, I've made all of that sound a little bit easy with the sub-phases and the phases there, but you must not give up. Eventually things do click, but please don't expect it to all be overnight. You've got to put in the effort, and it always takes time to have a greater impact. Remember, every freelancer or web design agency had to start somewhere. And they would have had the same issues or paranoia or doubt creeping at certain stages. Oh, I'm not making enough. I haven't had a client for 2 or 3 months. What do I need to do? What I'm sharing with you, and there is still more to come, are the strategies and things that we put in place. And I wish we had done this many, many years before as well. I mean, anyone starting off right now, you get on top of your social media marketing, your portfolio, understanding your services, what you will and won't do, you are going to be so much better for it. There will come a time when you're going to have client interest and you're going to be jumping off your seat, getting all excited, rushing over to your desk. You'll be exchanging emails, phone calls, text messages. It might even be 1 or 10 meetings with them before you can convince them to work with you. And you'll keep doing it. You want that work. But this is your time. And those 10 emails or 10 phone calls or 10 video calls might actually lead nowhere. All you've done is reel off to the potential client all of the solutions that you're going to do for them and put into place. And you need to use this page builder and you need to think about X, Y, Z. And at the end of the day, the client might take all of that information and go and work with someone else because they're just going to get it done cheaply. They now have all of the information they need. It happens, and you've been taken for a ride, and you're going to feel lost and broken. So here's the lesson on how to avoid it. Firstly, assess the client. Even when it's that initial email or that initial phone call, who are they and what kind of business do they have and what kind of level do you think the business is at in terms of their current earnings and potential earnings? You could offer a 15-minute call for free. After that, you can decide if you want to continue working with them. It's a 15-minute call, it's for free, okay? There's no winners, no losers. Do you get the feeling that they're on the same page as you or that you want to continue working with them? Do you feel like there's like undue expectation where they're just going to pay you and now they expect top results? And to be honest, you could offer this 15-minute call whether they're a big or a small business, to be honest. Now, at the end of that, if you are going to continue working with them, this is when you invite them to a discovery call. The discovery call isn't always just a phone call. I do recommend you do this as a video call. Discovery calls should not be free. I would charge $150 or £120 depending on your geography. I know some people that charge $3,000-4,000 for a discovery call and they are well worth it, but I will let you decide on your price. Now, a lot of clients or potential clients kind of go, no, we don't want to do that. Why do we want to pay for that? Well, they have to understand that this is your time and you are providing a consultancy service. I would love you to go into a lawyer's right now and say, hey, I want to talk to you about some issues I got. They'll make an appointment and they will charge you for that appointment. They're not going to listen to half an hour of what's wrong with your life or what you want to sort out for free. Well, that's the reality. Before I try and justify the cost and why you should do it as a video call, let's understand what you would get out of a discovery call. Number one, you're going to reduce the chances of them ghosting you. Basically, they just don't answer your phone calls. We've all had that, right? Someone shows a bit of interest, you write a big proposal or you send them loads of details and you never hear from them again. Like nothing. And that is not a nice feeling because when they've paid for an appointment, they are much more likely to attend. During the discovery call, you're going to find out a lot more about their business, about where they currently are, where they want to get to, how they want to grow, maybe something more about their team, the decision makers, what their earnings are. Most importantly, is the person on the call got any form of responsibility? Maybe they've been hired to find someone to build a website. Well, do you really want to just be working with them? Because if the managing director is the one that's going to go, yep, sign off, I like that website, maybe you want to be working with them. And the discovery call is going to be your opportunity to find out about the frustration and pains and aches of their business. Maybe they've got a website and it's not really working for them. Why? What's wrong? What are they seeing? Or maybe they're a business and they haven't got a website and they're trying to compete against people online. And this is all important in you understanding their business better and for you to start formulating the ideas and solutions that you can offer to them. Believe me, whenever you're in a paid appointment, you always want to get to the point and make things clear. Now, the price of the discovery call, like we mentioned, might put some people off. Why should they pay for this? And if they don't understand your time, or the consultancy that you're providing, this is where you now get to make a call about, do you want to continue working with them? Is this going to be a difficult relationship? Do they value your time? A lot of businesses out there will be used to this. They have a budget set aside for the website. And if you are now charging, say, $150 for a discovery call, let them know at the start that that will be discounted off the final site build cost because you will have adjusted for that. And anyone that doesn't want to pay that, they're probably more suited to the lower priced website. Is that the market or the area you wanted to work in? Because if you're going to charge $5,000 or $1,000 for a website, but they're not willing to pay $50 for the discovery call, is that the right fit? A lot of freelancers and agencies aren't going to be familiar or happy with charging for discovery calls. I will leave that up to you. It depends on your mindset or your types of customers, but it is something that is happening a lot more. And there is a big growing trend on social media about consultancy time and discovery calls and how they should not be for free. Why am I going on about videos during a discovery call? Well, when you can see someone face to face, you're able to build up a better level of trust. You can also assess their reactions to maybe a comment or a solution or an offering, or even maybe criticism going both ways. How do you interact with one another? Do you get on? Do you sense resentment? Do you feel like they're not bothered? They're not really paying attention. They're always looking on their mobile phone, or are they on board with you? Because this is going to help you to better understand your relationship going forward. I don't care what anyone decides to pay us. You could easily say, hey, we're going to pay you $50,000 for a website. But if I feel like you're going to take the mick with me, or that you're not going to treat us respectfully like we're in a working partnership, then I don't want to work with you. The beauty of video calls is you could record it and go back over points later on, and it helps you to improve your confidence. Hey, I'm not here trying to tell you to sell beauty or luxury products, but if you start to become very familiar with video calls and talking to people, it starts to improve how you put yourself across, okay, in how you talk, in how you present yourself. I'm not asking you to go and spend lots of money on a studio and lighting and all of that. But if you just invest a tiny bit in some lighting, maybe even the camera you're using. Look, you don't have to go and get a 4K webcam. I'm using my iPhone. You can use apps like the Shoot app or the Apple Continuity camera or Reincubate Camo so you can use your smartphone as a webcam. Just something that puts yourself across. Because look, if you are attracting or you're going for the $50 website build market, I don't think the video call matters much. Neither does it if it's a pixelated or a blurry image. But if you're trying to convince someone, hey, $10,000 for a website or $5,000, and you come across with a clear, crisp picture or sound, or they can see that, hey, you've got a good setup there, it can again build a level of trust. Look, let's pretend you were going to get an architect to design the architecture for your new extension, okay? And you've got two architects. One of them comes along in a pristine studio and he's got a layout and it's a lovely camera. And then you got someone else who claims to be really, really popular and got loads of work, and they're at the bottom of their shed. It's really dark. There's flies flying around everywhere and they've got a bit of marmalade on their chin. Doesn't that kind of influence your decision making? And many of you will say, but you shouldn't make judgments like that. But I'm sorry. The way the world is, the way life is, okay, what we see in here can influence how we think. And there is another reason why the video calls are really, really good, which I will come on to when we start to talk about the actual website build. Now, it might take one or more discovery calls before you fully understand the aim or the goals you want to be getting to. But either way, you're going to come to a point where you need to now give them a proposal of what you're going to do to help them reach their goal. If you need to see a copy of our proposal document, contract terms and conditions, go and have a look in our Sharing Our Stash Mastery module. It's in the description below. The proposal document should be succinct and to the point of what you're going to do for them. But when you're presenting it to them, do it over a video call, because this is where you can remind them of their frustrations, what's not going right, what are they aiming to achieve, and how you're going to help them to get to the end goal. I'm going to clarify that it might take several months to fully get there, to get to the top of Google or to achieve loads of mega sales and things like that. But you're going to outline those steps and you're going to outline what they can do now and what they must get in place and how you're going to continue working together. Imagine you're an athlete who wants to win the Olympics, the 100 meters. I give you some nice trainers, I give you some training gear, and I give you a location and a coach. On day one. That doesn't mean on day two you're going to go and win the Olympics. It could take months, years, decades. Probably not decades, but it's going to take a while. You're going to have to do a bit of training, stamina, endurance, all of this. But I've given you the tools to get started. The best coach, the best location, training ground, the best equipment, trainers, clothing, all of that, okay? And now we're going to help you work to your goal. Now, whether you get there or not does depend on lots of variables, things that we don't have control over. But we want to know that at the end of those 5 years, we did our best. So inside of your proposal document and during the video call, you're going to lay out what those steps are. What are the milestones that they need to be hitting if they want to get to that end goal? What tools or services do they need? How long will they take to do? 1 day, 1 week? What is the impact of each one? So you might have 5 steps, and the client might go, well, can we skip the third step with search engine optimization? And you go, fine, but we do that, and it affects your rankings, your indexing, being found for certain keywords. So we could do your website, but without the SEO, you are restricting what you can do. Google My Business, or whatever it's called now, being found on the Google Maps. Don't you want that? And what's really important during that proposal call is demonstrating that you are the right person or agency to do this work. Don't use words like, oh, we'll get back to you on that. We think we can do that. We've got to check. This task is going to need some extra help, but we still need to find the right person to help us out. No, you've got to bring in a level of confidence, which is why I'm talking about video calls, your tone, how you put yourself across. And if you're struggling with any of that right now, go and stand in front of a mirror and start practicing, okay? Demonstrate that we're going to do the best we can for you with the right tools, and we are going to help you get there. Because we believe in you. We care about your business. We don't want this just to be a short-term project or relationship. I want you and me to still be talking in 10 years' time when your business is flying high. Once you get to the stage where you're now agreeing the milestones or a project plan, make sure you're using a suitable tool to keep on top of that and to keep the customer informed as well. There's loads of online tools. You could even use a spreadsheet. We like to use the Add-On solution with project management, especially because it allows the clients to feedback on the websites as well, and we can close off the tasks and they can see that we've done what they've asked. Now, inside the proposal document, you also want to detail the essential and desirable tools or services. Essentials are going to be things like the domain and the hosting. Are you going to sort that out for them? There'll be a cost for you to do that. Are you going to connect the emails? There might be a cost for that. Are you providing the hosting solution, which I don't like doing anymore? Is it going to be via a third party? Or maybe they've already got it, or maybe they need to switch. Make that all very clear to them, and the turnaround time to get that set up. Then the other essential, obviously, would be the website build. We have a basic starting price. I mean, if you're going to have e-commerce, appointments, a bigger website, any functions and features, we like to detail that out. Make very clear what they're getting and how long it's going to take. Now, inside of the website build, you're probably going to be using themes, page builders. There may be other licenses for other tools that you're using. Make clear what they need to purchase. Now, you might feel that you're going to go and purchase it for them as part of a package deal and then get them to pay you back for it. That's fine if you want to do that. We follow the model now where we get the clients to pay specifically for their licenses, because we have found that if we had 5 or 10 licenses of a particular product, we might only use it for one website. So what are we doing with all of these excess ones? So have a think about what you want to go for, but get the client to pay it and make clear to them, is this a monthly cost or an annual cost? And if they don't pay for it, then the service will be lost and it will affect their website. And if you have clients that sort of go, I'm not paying for that page builder, you pay for it, you're building it, why do I have to go for it? You might want to say to them, well, it's like saying you want to have a house built and we'll build your house, but you now want bifold windows or doors, you got to pay for that. You now want a sky lantern, you got to pay for that. You want underfloor heating, you have to pay for the materials. Just because we said, yeah, we'll build your extension, doesn't mean we're now going to kit it out all for free. You're still paying for that. Some of these analogies do work. And then you have the desirable tools. So it might be a particular search engine optimization plugin or a facility or any other features or functions. Remember, what you want to get to is what do they need from day one of release? When that website's out there, is it kitted up to hit their business objective? And if they don't go for any of the desirables, like right now, so they're not going to go for SEO, they're not going to go for any responsive page speed performance or any other little features, that is fine. Don't force it upon them, but make clear in your proposal document that if they ask you for it 1 week later or a month later after the website is built, you will do it, but the charge for it goes up 50%. Because you know what it's like. If you're doing the SEO on a website at the time you're building it, it's a lot easier and efficient than doing it 2 months later, because now you got to revisit it and mess around a little bit, maybe with the layout or the content. This is why we like our proposal documents to be very, very transparent, with a breakdown of what they definitely need, what they could have, what the time impact is, basically everything that is there. Because if the client then says $3,000 for a website, but they only want to pay $1,500, that's where I'll go, okay, well, that's fine. Look at the basic. You know, what you must have, what you must have is 1,800. I can't do it for 1,500. I just can't. But 1,800 will get you everything you need for day one. But it's all these other important features. I strongly recommend you consider them. But if you don't, at least you know. So they don't come back to you in 2 months' time and go, I was looking on Google and my website's like on page 10. You go, yeah. That is what the search engine optimization was. You know, the search console, the indexing, getting you onto Google My Business, all of these little bits and pieces. And if everything goes well, go and get a contract signed off. It could be done electronically as well. Make very clear on what you're doing, the specification, the time commitments, who's going to do the sign off. Is it the person you're speaking to or someone else? Are there any milestones that you need to consider? Are there any holiday breaks? So there's no point you working on the website if the client's on holiday, because then you got to wait for them to get back. Having all of this outline is going to prevent scope creep. And what do I mean by that is you've agreed on what you're going to do, and then halfway through the website build, they kind of go and change their mind. Well, you got a contract and ensure that you get paid for what was agreed. So how do we like to approach our work once we've got that contract all signed off? Well, we like to do a wireframe. It might be a bunch of scribbles or something done on Canva or Figma or any other solution where we're getting a rough idea for what the website's going to look like. You might have a very particular design built up as well in Adobe or something. It depends on what you're going to work with, but the main thing is getting a wireframe in place, your sitemap, what's going to sit on the page. Then you need all of the other resources like the content, the images. Are they going to get that? Are you going to do it for them? If you're doing it for them, you better make sure you put it in your contract that you're going to get paid for that. And then once we know we've got all of those resources in place, we ask for a 50% deposit. They must pay that 50% deposit, otherwise we're not going to be working with them. We're not going to start doing any hosting solutions. We're not going to move their host over or their website over. We're not going to install anything. In fact, I would even say before we even get onto the wireframe, sorry, I said it in the wrong order, before we even do the wireframe and the scribbling and collecting resources, we need that 50% deposit paid. Then we start doing the homepage. Once the homepage is built in whatever solution you're going to do, we then do a video call review. This is why I'm stressing about the video call. So what happens is you have the website on the page, they can see it, you can see it, and you can now talk about how do they like it? Is it fine for them? Are there any changes? And because you're doing it via a live video call, you can sometimes do some of those changes. They might go, well, what if the image was more to the left? Or what if we made the heading a little bit bigger? Fine, do it. Get them to see it. Once that homepage has been reviewed, you would go away and do some further revisions. And there might be another tweak you might need to do. You know, you might not fully understand what they wanted or there was misinterpretation. The clear thing is that within a day or two, you want to get that homepage signed off. No more changes now. That homepage is signed off. Any more changes and there's an extra cost. Then you move on to the other pages. And 2 or 3 days after that, you should have another video call where now you talk about any revisions. Do they like it? Any changes? Things you need to think about. Again, there might be some tweaks. But really, and I'm talking about a basic website here maybe, by day 5 or 6, hopefully you've got to that point now where you get the final sign-off. And that's when you now want to get your final 50% payment. Now, if you don't want to do video calls when you're revising or reviewing the website, Add-Ons is super cool at letting the clients go to the URL link and they can start to put on screen what they like or don't like. So again, things hopefully don't get lost in communication. And of course, when it's all done and dusted, you've got to the final now, you've finished the website, get that review, that testimonial, because that will be really, really important. And don't forget to say to the client, hey, if you refer anyone, you can make yourself $100 out of this as well. Now, I've covered off quite a lot of things here, and I hope you find them all really, really useful. Starting off as a web design freelancer or an agency isn't easy. It takes a bit of effort and a bit of work, and you will have ups and downs, but the main thing is perseverance. You got to keep going on. Don't give up. Always get help if you're struggling. No one ever said it was easy being a web designer, but you will do it because I believe in you. Take care. See you soon.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag.